for, sorry, I just got the "this meeting is being recorded" message. So good evening and welcome to Huskies United for Scholarships and the Student Experience. My name is Michael Adzovic and I'm a staff member here at Northern Illinois University. This event is the second in a series of 3 that are being held in the lead up to Huskies United. Huskies United will begin at 4:25 p.m. on June 23rd and last for 1,895 minutes with the goal of uniting the NIU family around strategic initiatives, of which scholarships is primary. The goal for each of our events is for attendees to gain a greater understanding of the importance and impact of our Huskies United initiatives by hearing from those who are most closely linked to those initiatives. After tonight, our next event will be next Tuesday, June 22nd, when we'll be hosting Huskies United for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. During this session, you'll hear from NIU's Chief Diversity Officer, Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and Interim Chief Human Resource Officer, Dr. Vernice Edgehill-Walden, as she shares about NIU's work in diversity, equity, and inclusion and paints a picture for these efforts in the future. And Dr. Edgehill-Walden will be joined by staff from NIU's Office of Academic Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and what will be a virtual roundtable style discussion about their work and their efforts here at NIU. But tonight's focus is on scholarships and the student experience. And we have a great panel tonight of both NIU leaders and students. We're also fortunate to have as both our moderator and a speaker, Dr. Elisa Shadaman, who is the director of our Center for Nonprofit and NGO Studies. And before I turn the Zoom over to her, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping items. As I mentioned right at the beginning, we are recording this session. The second item is that we ask that you please keep your microphones muted. Of course, you're more than welcome and encouraged to keep your camera on. Questions, if you have them, can be asked in the chat function, which is in the bottom of the function bar. And hopefully we'll have time for questions at the end. We've got a lot of NIU leaders, a lot of students. We anticipate having a robust conversation, which may take us right up to the hour. But if we have time at the end for questions, we will take them. But all that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Dr. Alicia Shadaman.
Thank you very much, Michael. I'm honored to be moderating tonight and to participate in this panel discussion of how this particular day of giving will support scholarships and the student experience here at NIU. Kind of to kick us off, I thought we would do some quick introductions. So as Michael mentioned, I'm Dr. Alicia Shadwin with the Center for Nonprofit and NGO Studies. And I also brought one of our recent grads, Ashley, if you want to say hi as well.
Yes, hi everyone. It's been a while since I've been on Zoom. So it's weird.
Thank you. So I've been at NIU for 11 years. I was the first joint faculty member to be hired when the center was created back in 2010. And since that time, I'm a joint faculty member in the Department of Public Administration as well. So I've taught in our graduate program and our undergraduate program. And I'm very excited that we have a bunch of other folks represented here. So why don't I turn it over to Anne, who could introduce herself next.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Hardy, and I'm the Director of Scholarships here at NIU. I also oversee a team that provides financial advising services to students. I'm a proud alum, and I've worked at NIU for nearly 24 years. I've seen a lot of changes in that time. So we've made so many advances in access and equity, research and artistry, and exciting new academic programs. And we've also increased our commitment to institutional scholarships and aid. So I am very proud to be a Husky and I'm happy to be here tonight.
Thank you, Anne. Did you have a student with you or this evening, Anne?
We do. We have Anjishnu who is here today. If he would like to say hello real quick.
Hello everyone, I'm Anjishnu. I'm a senior here at Northern, majoring in psychology. minoring in marketing, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Andrea, want to say hi, introduce yourself and your student.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I am Andrea Radisanu, and I am the director of the University Honors Program. I'm also faculty in political science. I have been a proud Husky for over 15 years. I don't know how that happened so quickly, but it does. And you know, I've had the privilege of being the director of the honors program for the last almost 3 years, and is that true? Maybe 2. It feels like 3 in the best possible way. It's definitely just been, you know, a real joy to be able to provide opportunities for students to flourish that I'm excited to tell you about. So I'd like to partially claim Anjishnu, also Ashley, but I have brought especially Grant Goral, who can introduce himself now.
Hi, everyone. Like Dr. Radisanu said, my name is Grant Goral. I'm a junior here at NIU, majoring in political science and history, and I'm proud to be a third-generation Husky, so I'm excited to be here as well.
Great. And Christina.
Hi, everybody. I'm Christina Abreu. I'm the director of the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies. I'm also an associate professor of history. And so my research is in the area of race and ethnicity, migration, and pop culture studies. So I write on music and boxing. But at NIU, and I've been at NIU, I'm going into my 5th year. So I'm a super senior this year. I also have the privilege of directing our NIU Latinx oral history project. So this is our oral history project that focuses on the experiences of Latinos across Northern Illinois. And this past year in particular, we focused on how Latinos have been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. Tonight, I am not joined by any of our students. And I'll say that that's because they're all very busy conducting interviews. But Michael will share a video, a short little clip that we have with one of our students, and now I guess a double Husky. And so we'll share that a little bit later. But I'm really happy to be here and happy to raise some visibility for the oral history project.
Thanks, Christina. So a lot of the reasons why many of us are at NIU and we stay at NIU is this kind of public service mission that brings students into the public university, but they do have a lot of financial needs sometimes. So Anne, if you want to kind of kick us off, what does that need look like, scholarship support, when it comes to our NIU students? How much are they relying on financial aid and other support?
Right. And as I mentioned, I've been here for a long time. And one thing that has changed that has not been for the good, unfortunately, nationwide, not just at NIU, is the cost of education. And in these 20 years, tuition costs have tripled. But federal and state financial aid programs have not adjusted at the same level. So this leaves many of our families with a gap that they simply cannot cover. And this is why scholarship support becomes so critical for our students. So more than 85% of our students receive some form of financial aid, and that includes loans. The average cost of attendance, which includes tuition, fees, books, housing, and other living expenses, is just over $26,000 per year now. The average financial aid package, including loans for a freshman student, is just over $17,000. So that leaves, on average, a $9,000 gap between costs and financial aid. Transfer students have an average package of just over $12,000, so their gap tends to be even more. And so that gap has to be covered by out-of-pocket payments, parent loans, or other scholarships. So to help put this into perspective, just under half of our students are eligible for a federal Pell grant. And what does that mean? The average family income for a Pell eligible student is about $29,000 annually. So these families do not have any discretionary income, much less the ability to come up with funds to cover any gaps between financial aid and costs. And one of the commitments that we've made at NIU is to provide programs such as our Husky Pledge, which guarantees that eligible students will have their tuition and fee costs met with gift aid. and that is a fabulous opportunity for so many students. And we have similar partnerships such as with the Rockford Promise Foundation and the City of Rockford. These programs opened up doors for many students. However, these financial aid programs do not cover living expenses, so students still often end up with that gap even after taking out loans. So I know that's kind of a lot of information and kind of a downer to start off this session here. But again, it helps us realize how important scholarship support is. I know our students are so thankful for scholarships, and any assistance that they can get helps them have that time to focus on their schoolwork or participate in student organizations or leadership activities without having to worry about the finances or needing to work multiple jobs. And it helps them to stay at NIU and see through their degree to completion.
And kind of along that line, and how does that gap, that financial pressure, really affect students? You work with a lot of students across the university. Mm-hmm. What do you hear when they are constantly worried about finances? How does that really impact when faculty might see them in the classroom and you know, have a different opinion of what they're going through? But what do you hear?
Right. I really think it does affect their academic performance and their engagement level, because they're worried. They're worried maybe they've worked 2 jobs during that week, you know, a job during the day and a job at night. And you know, so their schedule is different and their priorities are different. And maybe they're worried about their family or sending money home from their work to help, you know, support their family members. And, you know, the tuition bill becomes not what they're worried about. You know, and if we're able to get additional support for students, that allows them to spend time focusing on what's really important here at NIU.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we would kind of go through each of the areas that we're directing or part of, and kind of get down to kind of program specific level. So I'll ask Christina first, kind of in a broad term, what kinds of things do these scholarship funds and these student experience funds really do for your center, Christina, and the students affiliated with your center?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit about this. So we we think that it's really important for students to work one-on-one with faculty mentors to really learn how to do this really critical research, right? To learn how to become thorough and in-depth oral history interviewers, so that they can really capture the stories of the Latino community across Northern Illinois, right? And so all of that takes hard work, it takes training, it takes time. So we like to have students do this research by work, you know, we want them to set aside anywhere from 5 to 10 hours outside of the classroom to be trained and to learn how to do this really important work. And so to do that, we want these to be paid. We need these to be paid experiences, right? Because this is time that students are working outside of the classroom, and also time that they're not able to pursue outside employment. So for us, funding will help us continue to fund our undergraduate student researchers and undergraduate researchers, and to fund additional undergraduate student researchers, so that we can continue, right, to grow the project and increase our collaborations. Additionally, we need equipment. We learned this past year, you know, but one of the side effects of the pandemic has been that we learned that we can do really good interviews via Zoom, but that requires a very new, up-to-date laptop, so that you have the storage capacities and you have a high-quality microphone and a high-quality camera. And so we need additional equipment so that we can provide our undergraduate student researchers with the materials that they need to conduct really high-quality interviews. And so that's a little bit about, you know, the need that we have. But also I'll just share that, you know, students, we also try to train students through courses that they take at the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies through our minor. And we also like to involve graduate students to provide additional mentorship, and then also community members. So we have the involvement of some community members who have some journalism experience. And so we really like this to be sort of a multi-level partnership between faculty, students, graduate students, and then community members, as well as, right, the individuals that are really giving us the best gift, the greatest gift of all, which is telling us their stories and sharing with us, their life history, what they've been through, and what their experiences have been.
Thanks, Christina. And we'll come back and kind of drill down into some other areas. Andrea, what does scholarship funding look like for the honors program? Where are the needs, and where's that directed in your program?
Gosh, where doesn't it affect things? And for the students who are here, I'm gonna throw it to you in a second too. But the honors program is sort of, it's a combination of enriched courses and co-curricular programming, as well as experiences such as study abroads or alternative spring breaks and so forth. All of those things take money. Our capstone program, similar to what Christina was already talking about, to do research, it often takes money. We have, every year we support efforts along those lines. Even if you think about it, even signature events, like we have a wonderful program that onboards students, which is the TAF retreat. It's awesome, but guess what? That costs money too. So we're just super cognizant that students, have a lot of financial needs, and for them to participate in co-curriculars and even the social aspects of the program. Even Honors House, for example, is costly. It's the most expensive New Hall residence that NIU has. So we have scholarships that are for excellence. It absolutely doesn't cover all of the need. And the more that we provide and expect students to take advantage of these amazing growth opportunities that we provide, the more we have to also have the financial resources for them to take advantage of it in a fair and equitable way, not just those who don't find it difficult to do so, but really everybody who wants to. So yeah, I don't know, Grant, would you have anything to add to this?
Yes, I just want to say that some of the opportunities that the honors program affords to students who go above and beyond in the honors program, I was actually awarded this year, and it feels good to be rewarded for your work in the honors program, and to be recognized for wanting to contribute your time and your efforts in school, because not only do you have classes and your extracurriculars, but then you've got your honors program opportunities. And so I think by offering those to more students, they're going to really take advantage of the opportunities the honors program offers, and we'll have more participation and more students wanting to be in the honors program and utilize that. And it's nice to be able to worry about school and not worry about paying for school.
Thanks, Grant. From the Center for Nonprofit and NGO Studies perspective, one of our biggest needs is that our program tends to attract individuals from lower socioeconomic conditions, lower household incomes. They really are the folks that want to make a difference, change the world kind of folks, address some inequity, address some kind of social justice issues. And because of that, that does place them in kind of financial need. The other thing I think that's going on is, as we want to train students and educate students in these areas, is they need experience. So we need to find ways to pay students to get really good work experience, so that when they go either applying to graduate school or going on into the workforce, that they have something on their resume beyond the kind of typical student employment, whether that's pizza delivery or retail or all of those things. We know our NIU students are coming really well equipped, but to be really competitive, we want to make sure that they have those kind of hands-on experiences. So Ashley, I don't know if you want to talk about some of the experiences you had in NGO and why that was important to you, that some of these came with some paid opportunities.
Yeah, the first experience that I had was in fall of last year. or maybe that was this year. I had an internship with the Egyptian Theater, and that was really useful because I knew that I wanted an internship. I knew that I wanted experience, but I also am in the political science program, or I was, and all of those internships were unpaid. And so I knew that I needed an internship, and I knew that I wanted it to be paid because I just couldn't afford to do free work and so the internship program with the nonprofit study center was really nice because not only was it paid, I didn't have to really search for an internship either. I was placed with an internship site. The interviews were set up. So that was really nice, especially because job searching is kind of a part-time job in itself. So that alleviated a lot of the stress that usually comes with that. And the internship was really useful because it gave me the opportunity to see what I liked and what I didn't like. And I'm thankful for my internship site. There was a lot of freedom to see what I wanted to do. And so I got some marketing experience with that. And then I also did the Fortitude program in the last semester at NIU. And that was also really useful because it gave me research experience that I later used to apply to grad school, and I could talk about that. And with Fortitude, there were a lot of different areas that I could learn about. So that it was just another opportunity to explore my interests. And that's what I really appreciated about all of the out of classroom experiences with the center. And I'm trying to think anything else. Those were the big two. And then obviously scholarships and financial aid. That was very helpful for me and my family. So yeah, I have greatly benefited from these experiences.
Thanks, Ashley. So back to Christina, do you want to expand on some of the areas where scholarship support, maybe you could even share a story, or no names, but share a story of kind of the greatest impact that these scholarship funds, beyond some of the things that you had already talked about, how they impact your center? Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that's really key about doing oral history interviews is that it oftentimes takes a really long time. We might think that, you just call somebody up and they'll tell you all about their lives and that'll be that. And that's not really how it works, right? So our students have to do a lot of background research. They have to search their networks for contacts, and they have to search those additional contacts. We like to do a really good long history or oral history interview. You oftentimes want to go back and do additional interviews. So all of that is to say that all of this takes a really long time. And so a lot of times that's hard to do during the course of a semester because students are very busy. They're students are taking lots of classes, working, etc. So one of the things that we like to do in the past is to set up summer research experiences for students during the summer when they're not taking as many classes or not taking any classes at all, and they can really immerse themselves in this research experience. So that's another area when we've previously been able to put together some funding to support students in their research efforts for the Latino Oral History Project. The other thing that we would really love to do more of is to travel to conduct some of our interviews. Some interviews, I spoke earlier about how Zoom, right, has really allowed us to kind of expand our region. Typically, we've done a lot of interviews either in DeKalb or in Chicago, but there's other areas where we would like to go and to do some interviews with folks who are not really tech savvy or are not really interested in doing the interview over Zoom, and who also want to share with us material artifacts. So the other thing that goes hand in hand with doing oral history interviews is that people want to share with us photographs and maps and documents and things, clothing, little knickknacks, things from their life that they want to share with us. And so sometimes it is really cool and really fun for students to travel to go do the interview at an individual's house. So about a year ago, I took an undergraduate student. We went to Galesburg to interview a woman who had done really extraordinary woman, had done she herself was a documentary filmmaker, and she had done some she did a documentary, she created a documentary film on Mexican and other Latino railway workers from the early 1900s in Illinois. And so she had all of the materials that she used to put together this documentary that she just laid out on her dining room table.
And she just said, here, have at it, look at it, you know, do you want to take some with you? And we said, no, keep it all together. But those are the kinds of experiences, right, that students love. Students, you know, they just, you know, it piques their curiosity and demonstrates to them what they can do with particular research methodologies and particular approaches to asking questions and learning more about individuals and communities. And all of that takes funds, because it's travel and it's time and it's the recording equipment and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you, Christina. Andrea, can you give us a sense, maybe, and I didn't ask this earlier, about what is the size of the honors program? Like, how many students participate and how many are affected by the scholarship funding? What's the body of students that these funds go towards?
Sure. So at any given time, there are about 1,000 students in the honors program. So it's a nice, significant size of students. I can also tell you that you know, I read every single application for students who want to enter the program, and many of them, you know, mention right off the bat that one of the things that interests them in the honors program is that there is the opportunity to apply for honors specific scholarships. And I don't want you to think that these students are just, you know, they're not interested in contributing, or that they're not, you know, that they're not intellectually curious. That just speaks to this issue that our students have a lot of need. You know, and they're just looking for ways to be able to concentrate on school and enrich themselves while hoping to make a little bit more of a dent in their financial need. So actually, I have some other numbers for you. So I can tell you that about 81%, there's been an 81% increase in the last few years, I think in the last 3 years, in the applications that we have. So it went up from about 288, actually back in 2014, we had 288 applicants for our honor scholarships, our excellence scholarships, and we're up to 521 in 2021. So there you go. And in 2021, only 60% of our students who applied for these scholarships received awards. So there are 40% of people who were wanting awards who did not get them. And I can tell you that they're within 0.3 of a point, you know, it's very, very close. There are a lot more people who are deserving than get them. And actually, I see the name of Mr. Earl Rakowitz on this call, who was one of the almost 100 generous alumni who donated their time to evaluate these scholarship applications. And I hope he doesn't mind that I share this, but, you know, he commented that there were, you know, it broke his heart, the sort of need that he saw in some of the questions that some of the answers to the questions that he was able to read, and other reviewers have also shared again how close it was and how difficult it was to make this determination as to who would get and who would not get. So I don't know, hopefully that gives you, you know, an understanding of, you know, it's a big program. Most of our students, you know, half of our students apply for scholarships, and we can't accommodate more than about 60% of them. I'm hoping it's all right if maybe I can sort of turn it over a little bit to Anjishnu and to Grant, because Anjishnu, I know you have both honors and non-honors versions of scholarships. Perhaps you can talk a little bit about the personal effect of these scholarships on you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Radisani, for giving me the opportunity. So I'm an international student here at Northern, and coming from India, the financial need has always been something that has, you know, had me worried about for a long time. And I've been seeking opportunities since my freshman year to try and assist my parents who are back in India. And, you know, they had to drain their savings to meet my cumbersome needs. But thanks to the honors program, as well as the NIU Foundation, which has assisted me a lot for the upcoming academic year, I have been the recipient of quite a few scholarships, so which has definitely taken off a huge burden off of my parents' shoulders. As you are aware, situation is pretty bad in India right now because of COVID. The pandemic has hit a second wave in India, and things are not going pretty good there. So I feel I'm extremely grateful to NIU and to the honors program for assisting me with their financial scholarships and awards, which definitely has taken off a big burden off of my parents' shoulders and has also motivated me to persistently keep striving for excellence and keep up the good work that I have done so far, and which has helped me be recognized as a recipient. Grant, if you would like to add something to that.
Yeah, I want to use this time to talk about Honors Fellows, and that's a program that I'm a part of as well as on Jishnu. And this, the scholarship or the tuition that I get from being an Honors Fellows actually fills the gap for me, and that allows me to be able to dedicate my time to academics and to work actually with Dr. Radhasanu, as I did this past year, to form the civic engagement program at NIU in the honors program. And having those scholarships available gives me time. And I think by like the contract that we signed to work for the honors department, we're required to work for 5 hours every week. But a lot of times for some of these activities, it takes a lot more than 5 hours. And I do it because I want to be able to provide these opportunities for students and tell them about all these things that they can do in the honors program. But having that ability to spend more of my time focusing on that than having to work to pay for my tuition is an awesome opportunity. And to let students know that you can go and work for a nonprofit, or you can go and internship with a campaign, or do anything you want to help out the NIU or DeKalb community, or even your home community. Being able to do that with a scholarship means the world to me, because that's what I'm passionate about. And to not have to worry every night that I'm going to have to go to my job and that I won't have time to fulfill my obligations to NIU is an amazing feeling. And I think if more students had that opportunity, it would make NIU an even better university. I know so many students want that opportunity to really use that cliche, change the world, but optimism is in the air. There's so many students who want to do that. If we give them the opportunity to do that, NIU could become an even better place than we already are.
Thanks, Grant. You know, one of the things, I've been director of our center for about 2 years, and before that a faculty member. And one of the things that has always kind of nagged at me is a lot of these experiences, and there's a lot going on at NIU across all these departments, but the access to those things kind of leaves people out if they're unpaid. And it's nagged at me for a long time, and it's kind of made it a personal mission that if we value students and their time, we've got to be able to find ways to pay them. And whether that's grant funding sometimes with research projects, whether that's scholarship funds, or whether it's convincing employers or potential employers that they need to pay their interns, it does come down to an equity issue for me and many others on this call, that we really need to support those students. So yes, they need the experiences, but we also know that it's important to level the playing field. So many of us faculty members were attracted to work in public universities because we benefited from public education in many ways. And I never did an internship as an undergrad. I couldn't. there was no room left at the end of the week to fit in those hours to do an unpaid internship or do a study abroad or all of those other things when you had to do other things. And many of us, I'm sure here at NIU, we're first generation college students, and many of our students today are first generation college students. They also don't have the guidance necessarily to say, oh, you really need to do these experiences, because their parents don't necessarily understand that either. But if it's a paid experience, parents understand what that means, that it's important that they're sharing that burden for their education. So those are just a couple of like personal reasons, but I think many of us here, that's why we want to make sure that we provide these experiences for our students to support them financially, but also to address the inequity in these experiences that have traditionally been part of that system. So I have only a couple of minutes left, and maybe Christina, is there any last comments that you'd like to say around the center, why your center is involved in Huskies United, and why it's so important for you in raising these funds next week? Oh, there she goes.
Oh my goodness, I'm the first one to commit the I muted mistake. But that's all right. So yeah, for me, the oral history project, existed before I got to NIU. And so in the last 4 or 5 years, what we've really tried to do is to expand it, to involve more students, to involve more faculty, and to involve more of the Latino community across Northern Illinois. And one of the things that has always struck me as why this project matters is, the feedback that we get from students, the feedback that we get from our alums when they graduate, when they go on to other jobs, when they go on to live their lives, right? They often recall, right, the oral history project as like one of the most meaningful experiences of their time as Huskies. And so I want to ask Michael if he could share a clip that we have from one of our alums. So the student who we're going to hear from is Laura Vivardo Cholula. Laura was one of the students that actually interviewed me when I came to visit NIU for the director's position. And I remember being struck during that interview saying, wow, she's asking me really hard questions, what's happening here? Usually the students are supposed to be nice to you, and she's grilling me. What is this all about? And it turns out that Laura was one of the first students who worked on the oral history project. And she worked on it throughout her undergraduate career. She then, when she graduated, she went on to NIU Law, and so she just NIU Law School, and she just graduated this spring. And so she couldn't be with us tonight because she's studying for the bar exam, which she's taking. I think it's like July 27th and 28th. So it's coming up. But I'll let Michael, if you could play, and then I'll just say a few words once we hear from her.
Sure. And I just want to confirm, everyone can see you can see my screen, Christina?
Yes, I can.
All right, very good. So I'll hit play.
Donations for the Latinx Oral History Project are very important because they give students like me a unique opportunity, not just to document the stories from our communities, from the Latinx community, but it also gave me the opportunity to interview important government officials like Senator Durbin. The Latinx Oral History Project was especially important to me because it gave me the confidence as a student to conduct interviews, to take on a project all on my own with the support of professors and staff who guided me along the way. I can say that the Latinx Oral History Project was a very unique experience during my undergraduate years that I remember fondly now as a law student graduate and as a future legal professional.
So Laura talks a little bit there about sort of, what the experience meant to her. And we have recent alums who've gone on to work at museums, libraries, teachers, in the nonprofit sector, and all sorts of fields who credit, right, the Oral History Project and their experiences there with kind of helping them, connect their, apply skills to their passion, which I think is really important.
Thank you, Christina. Andrea, any last words about why the honors program is participating in Huskies United next week?
Again, why aren't we participating in this fantastic event? Look, we absolutely need student scholarships. We would love the support. We use the support in order to help students, defray costs, to recognize their excellence, for research, for capstones, for experiential learning experiences, for access to our signature events, for all of these things. And I just want to, one thing I want to say, two more quick things. One is going off of what Grant said before, that he wants to give back. I want to say that all of our scholarship recipients do give back. So it absolutely helps. It helps them provide, have time to develop both themselves and fulfill their goals, but also builds community in these really important ways. So I think it's just really what makes education go around. And the other thing I wanted to do was echo something that Alicia said also with respect to equity. I mentioned that co-curricular experiences are part of the honors program. That happened in the last few years. So students must complete co-curricular programs. In the same time frame, we have made entrance into the honors program more equitable. We no longer have standardized test scores as part of our entrance criteria. We want to be welcoming and inclusive. and provide a supportive environment for all of the students who want to strive. But that really does require that we pay attention to the costs of, exactly as everybody's been saying, unpaid internships, unpaid externships, and so forth. That is time and money that a lot of our students don't have. So it is absolutely imperative for us to build up our capacity to provide those experiences in a way that everybody can afford. So we're extremely glad to be part of this initiative, and yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk about it.
Thanks, Andrea. And from our Center for Nonprofit and NGO Studies, I think for us, we're a pretty new-ish program. We've been around 10, 11 years now. Our alums are out there doing great things, but they're just starting those careers. They're getting into a couple years in now into those, beyond kind of minimum wage entry level. Some of them are going off to graduate school. We've had many of our students go to law school and kind of set them on that path. So we're trying to build that culture of philanthropy. It's something that we teach. So it's definitely, we're trying to build that into the culture and create that next generation of community leaders. So it's really important that our students have access to experiences outside of the classroom. There's a lot of things that are awesome and the knowledge that they get here, but once they get out there in the world, we think those opportunities really should be, more accessible to all of our students and make them much more competitive, as well as kind of figure out something that Ashley said before, kind of figure out what direction. And I don't know, Ashley, if you want to comment on that, how some of those external experiences set you up for your next experience that you're planning.
Yes. So I said before that it helped me figure out what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. And I liked my time in the internship, and I liked my time working like for nonprofits as an employee. But you learn what you want to do and you learn what you don't want to do. And I just found that that wasn't something that I was really interested in. And especially with my experience with Fortitude, that where I was able to apply a lot of the knowledge that I was learning about in the classroom, and also exploring, different fields. I learned in that experience that I liked talking about the nonprofit sector way more than I liked being a part of the nonprofit sector. So that's what inspired me to go on with my education after my undergrad. So I'm going to be getting a master's in public policy at York College of Pennsylvania. I'm moving in like a month. So that is something that's happening. And if it weren't for my out of classroom experiences, I wouldn't have had anything to talk about during my interviews. So for that, I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Ashley. So we have a couple minutes left here. If you want to ask any questions, you can type them into the chat, and we will make sure to answer them as we kind of wrap up for this evening. Michael, I know you have some housekeeping things you wanted to do at the end as well, but.
Yep. And I see, I think he's driving, so I can't type in the chat. I see Rod's hand up. Rod, what would you like to ask?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, as a student that has been a part of the NIU Honors Program twice. Last year I was awarded 6 scholarships. I have taken advantage of so many of the opportunities that you discuss, and everyone is right. The things when you get out to the real world, those experiences are invaluable. So I just want to thank everyone for the work that you do. It does make a tremendous difference in really, making NIU the state-of-the-art university in the world. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks, Rod. That's great. Appreciate that. So we'll ask if anyone has any questions. You can either, you can type it in the chat, or you can, if you want to raise your hand via Zoom, you can. If you don't have a question, that's fine. I do want to close out on a special video we've got prepared for this, but want to see if there are any questions for any of our panel here.
We were so thorough, right?
You were very thorough. You were very thorough. So, and that's totally fine. So, so I do want to close out on a special video. But before I do, I just want to say thank you so much to Alicia, to Andrea, to Christina, to Anajishu, to Grant, to Ashley, just for taking the time, for sharing your experience. Someone that sent a private message to me just saying how much they felt energized by this time, by hearing from your perspectives, especially from students, right? I think NIU students are so special, right? And their grit and their perseverance and their ability to want to just make a difference. And so thanks for sharing your perspectives. And thank you too, NIU staff for that. As well. I will give a big plug. You can support Andrea's program, Alicia's program, and Christina's program during Huskies United. The website to that was in the email that you guys a confirmation here, but it's dog.niu.edu. And again, I want to close with a special video that kind of explains what Huskies United is all about. So I'm going to share that now and then say one last thing as we close. So I will ask the question, can you see my screen?
Yes, you're good.
All right, very good.
This is Northern Illinois University. For many of you, this is where it all began, where you discovered who you are, what you wanted to do, and what you're capable of. Today, NIU is home to the next generation of students preparing for a brighter future for themselves, their families, and the world around them. I'm Kate Drury, BFA acting candidate and proud Husky. This past year has been tough on all of us, but Huskies are no stranger to challenge. More than half of us are the first in our families to attend college. 3/4 of us are from an underserved population, and 85% of us rely on some form of financial aid. But there's no holding us back. With your support, we continue to rise to the occasion. We are proud and grateful that the university we call home is among the most recognized in the country for its combined emphasis on high-impact research and the social mobility of its students. Earlier this month, more than 2,000 graduates walked across the stage at Husky Stadium to become proud alumni. And there's a long line of new students ready to follow in their footsteps. Enrollment increased in the fall of 2020, and freshman applications for the fall 2021 semester are at an all-time high. Huskies are going places, and the road ahead is bright and full of possibility. Our Huskies United Day of Giving is all about expanding those possibilities. Huskies United is about supporting innovation, research, and artistry, and ensuring that NIU continues to be an engine for social mobility. Donations will provide scholarships to ensure access for students from all walks of life, including those that wouldn't be here without scholarship support. Students like me. Donations will ensure that Huskies whose dreams are threatened by lack of critical resources such as money for rent, utilities, food, and medical care can find help through the Student Emergency Fund. And your support will help us continue to build an inclusive campus environment where everyone respects the dignity and value of all its members. Huskies United is your opportunity to support students like psychology major Cindy Durand. She is working to become a school psychologist. And electrical engineering major Tio Ruiz, as he works on research that could lead to improved biomedical devices for bedside diagnostics and low-cost healthcare management. And Laura Vivaldo Cholula, who is gaining valuable research and interviewing experience as part of the NIU Latinx Oral History Project. NIU alumnus Ray Banks and Dr. Eric Erickson share a belief in the power of higher education as a force for good, as it helped them become engaged citizens and build meaningful careers. In order to give back, they created the Banks-Erickson Huskies United Participation Challenge. When we receive 1,000 donations, their gift of $150,000 will be unlocked into our totals. As we look beyond our laptops and textbooks, we see that a college education is about becoming more open-minded, fair, and compassionate. It's about gratitude for the gifts we've been given and paying it forward as we find a cause that speaks to us and the courage to do something about it. We see that this moment is in our hands. We are the next generation of Huskies working for a better future, and this is your chance to join us.
All right. Well, on that note, again, just want to thank everyone for being here today. Hope that you can join us at 4:25 p.m. on June 23rd as we kick off our second annual Huskies United and help move our university forward for our faculty, our staff, and most of all, our students. So thanks so much. Have a great day. And of course, go Huskies.